Hey there, you're looking kind of cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out all my other socials. Enjoy. The wet streets shone as the old bus left the terminal with a loud engine noise. One tired passenger sat alone near the back. The gray city outside the window looked as dull as his own eyes. In the glass, he saw himself. Tired eyes, rough face, messy hair. A manila envelope sat heavy on his lap. Inside was the end of his 12-year marriage. His thumb moved around the edge of the envelope, a nervous habit he had picked up after months of worry. The driver spoke through the speakers. Next stop, Riverside Avenue. He still had 3 hours left on the trip. 3 hours to think about what to say to Susan. Their last talk ended badly, with yelling, blaming, and a slammed door. That was 6 months ago. His phone buzzed. It was a text from Susan. Confirmed for 3 p.m. at the Marriott downtown. Don't be late. Her message was short and businesslike. She was not like the woman who used to send him funny pictures or leave love notes on his coffee mug. He typed okay back and went back to watching the rain. The landscape shifted from urban sprawl to suburbs, then to long stretches of highway bordered by pine forests. Each mile marker was a countdown to the end of what they'd built together. He thought about their wedding day. Susan in her grandmother's dress, laughing as cake frosting smeared across his nose. The memory stung. "You're not the person I married," she'd said during their last fight. The words echoed in his mind as farmland rolled past. She was right, though not in the way she meant it. The changes had been gradual at first. A growing restlessness he couldn't name. Moments standing before the mirror, feeling disconnected from his own reflection. The therapist had helped him understand, but by then the distance between him and Susan had grown too wide. The bus stopped at a roadside diner. He bought coffee in a paper cup and a stale sandwich wrapped in plastic. Back in his seat, he opened his phone's photo gallery. Their vacation to Colorado 2 years ago. Susan's birthday party. Their anniversary dinner last year, both forcing smiles that didn't reach their eyes. He scrolled further back and paused. The Halloween photo from 3 years ago. Susan had convinced him to dress as Bonnie to her Clyde. The burgundy dress, the blonde wig she'd styled, the careful makeup she'd applied while laughing at his protests. He'd felt something that night, standing beside her in heels, her arm linked through his. Something that terrified and thrilled him in equal measure. "That was fun," Susan had said later, washing off her fake mustache. "You made a pretty convincing woman." He'd laughed it off, but the feeling lingered. Soon after, he'd started buying clothes online, having them shipped to his office. Small things at first, a scarf, a bracelet, then dresses, shoes, makeup. He'd wait until Susan worked late, then spend hours learning from YouTube tutorials, practicing walking in heels on their hardwood floors. The name came naturally. Carol. It felt right on his tongue, like a secret password to a hidden room inside himself. Carol wore navy blue dresses and pearl earrings. Carol styled her brown hair, his brown hair, in soft waves. Carol moved through the world with a grace he'd never felt as himself. The bus hit a pothole, jolting him from his memories. Outside, a sign announced they were 50 miles from the city. His stomach tightened. He'd never meant for Susan to find out the way she did. Coming home early from a canceled business trip, finding him in their bedroom, wearing the emerald green dress he'd bought for their anniversary, the one meant for her that she'd never worn. The shock on her face, the confused silence that stretched between them like a chasm. "I don't understand," she'd said finally, sinking onto the bed. How could he explain when he barely understood himself? The conversations that followed were painful, full of tears and questions neither could answer. She'd tried. God, she'd tried. Couples counseling, long talks over wine. She'd even offered to help him shop to understand this part of him. But the damage was done. Every interaction felt forced. She looked at him differently, like she was searching for someone who no longer existed. Or maybe someone who had never existed at all. "Approaching downtown terminal," the driver announced. The city skyline appeared through the rain. Somewhere in that maze of glass and steel, Susan waited with lawyers and papers and the official end of their marriage. He checked his phone, 1:47 p.m. just enough time to check into his hotel room before meeting her. The bus pulled into the terminal with a hydraulic hiss. He gathered his overnight bag and the manila envelope, joining the line of passengers shuffling toward the exit. The rain had stopped, leaving puddles that reflected the gray sky. The hotel stood 6 blocks away. He walked quickly, his bag bumping against his hip, dodging umbrella-wielding pedestrians. The Marriott's lobby was all marble and soft lighting, the kind of place they'd stayed on their honeymoon. The irony wasn't lost on him. "Checking in?" he told the desk clerk, sliding his ID across the polished counter. Room 412. He rode the elevator in silence, watching the numbers climb. The room was standard: king bed, desk, view of the parking garage. He set his bag on the luggage rack and checked the time. 2:23 p.m. In the bathroom mirror, he studied his reflection. The man staring back looked exhausted. He splashed cold water on his face, straightened his collar, and grabbed the envelope. The conference room was on the 2nd floor. Susan was already there when he arrived, sitting at the far end of a long table. She wore a gray suit he didn't recognize, her hair shorter than he remembered. Professional, distant. "Thanks for coming," she said without looking up from her phone. He took the seat across from her. The lawyers would arrive soon, but for now it was just them. The silence felt heavy. "You look tired," she said finally. "Long bus ride." "You could have flown." "I needed time to think." She nodded, understanding without explanation. That was the thing about being married so long. You developed a shorthand, a language of half sentences and meaningful glances. "How's your mom?" he asked. "Good. She sends her love." Susan paused. "Well, not really. She's still angry." "I figured." More silence. The conference room clock ticked loudly. "I'm sorry," he said suddenly. "For everything. For not being honest sooner. For letting you find out that way. For—" "Stop." Susan held up her hand. "We've been through this. I'm not angry anymore. Just sad. I never wanted to hurt you." "I know." She finally met his eyes. "That's what makes it harder." The lawyers arrived in a burst of briefcases and cologne. The next hour passed in a blur of legal jargon and signatures. Assets divided, accounts separated, a clean break on paper that felt anything but clean. When it was over, when the lawyers had shaken hands and departed, Susan lingered. "Can I ask you something?" she said, reorganizing papers that didn't need reorganizing. "Sure. Is that still part of your life?" He knew what she meant. "Yes." She nodded slowly. "What's her name?" "Carol." "Carol." She tested the name. "I'd like to meet her." The request caught him off guard. "Susan, I don't think— Please, I need to understand, to see who you really are." Her voice cracked slightly. "I spent the last 6 months wondering if our entire marriage was a lie, if you were just pretending the whole time. I need to meet her to make sense of it all." He studied her face. No malice, no trap, just genuine need for closure. "Okay," he heard himself say. "Tonight?" "I'm staying at this hotel too. Room 237, maybe dinner, 7 o'clock? He nodded. Susan gathered her things and left without another word. Back in room 412, he sat on the bed and stared at his overnight bag. He'd packed for contingencies, unsure how long the legal proceedings might take. Inside, wrapped in tissue paper, were the clothes he'd brought. The navy blue dress with the subtle floral pattern, the low heels and black leather, the makeup bag he'd carefully organized. He'd thought he might need Carol after this was over, a way to shed the skin of a failed marriage. He hadn't expected Susan to request an introduction. The afternoon passed slowly. He ordered room service but barely touched the club sandwich. He showered, then stood before the bathroom mirror in a hotel robe, brown hair still damp. The transformation was ritual by now, foundation to even skin tone, subtle eye makeup, nothing dramatic, lipstick in a muted rose. He'd learned that less was more, that the goal wasn't disguise, but revelation. The navy dress slipped over his head easily. It fit perfectly, falling just below the knee. He'd chosen it carefully, professional but feminine, nothing that screamed for attention. The shoes added 2 inches to his height. His brown hair had grown longer over the past months. He styled it with practiced hands, creating soft waves that framed his face. In the mirror, Carol looked back. The same features, but somehow different. Softer, more authentic. He checked the time, 6:47 p.m. Early, but better than late. The elevator ride felt eternal. Other guests got on and off, none giving him a second glance. That still amazed him, how naturally Carol moved through the world. Room 237 was on the second floor. He knocked softly. Susan opened the door immediately, as if she'd been waiting on the other side. Her eyes widened, taking in the whole picture. She'd changed too. Jeans and a cream-colored sweater, her lawyer armor abandoned. "Hi," Carol said, her voice pitched slightly higher, though that came naturally now. "Thank you for inviting me. Come in." Susan stepped aside. The room was identical to his, but Susan had made it her own. A book on the nightstand, her perfume lingering in the air, the same vanilla scent she'd worn for years. "I thought we could order in," Susan said. "If that's okay. I wasn't sure about going to the restaurant." "That's fine." They sat on opposite ends of the small couch, the room service menu between them like a peace treaty. Susan kept staring, then catching herself and looking away. "It's okay to look," Carol said. "I know this is strange. You sound different." "I feel different." Susan picked up the menu, then set it down. "How long have you known?" "That's complicated. Looking back, maybe always. But really understanding it? 3 or 4 years. The Halloween party." Carol smiled. "You remember. You were so resistant at first, then suddenly you weren't. Like a switch flipped." Susan twisted her wedding ring. "Still wearing it," Carol noticed. "I should have known." "How could you? I didn't even know." They ordered pasta and salad, safe choices. While waiting, Susan opened the minibar and pulled out a bottle of wine. "Remember our first date?" she asked, pouring 2 glasses. "That Italian place with the terrible music?" "The accordion player who wouldn't leave our table." Carol accepted the wine gratefully. "You tipped him $20 to go away." "Best money I ever spent." They fell into reminiscence, safer ground than the present. College years, the early apartment with the leaky faucet, their first dog, a beagle named Bandit, who ate an entire Thanksgiving turkey. The food arrived. They ate quietly for a while, the awkwardness settling between them again. "You seem happy," Susan said finally. As you. "I am? Happier than I've been in years?" "That hurts to hear." "I'm sorry." "No, don't apologize. I mean, it hurts because I wanted to be the one who made you happy. But I'm glad you found it, even if it wasn't with me." Carol set down her fork. "You did make me happy. This isn't about you or us. It's about me finally understanding who I am." "I know." The therapist explained it all. "Intellectually, I get it." Susan's eyes glistened. "But emotionally? I feel like I lost my husband twice. Once when I found you that day, and again now seeing you like this. Because you're right. You are happy. In a way you never were with me." It's true." Susan wiped her eyes with her napkin. "All those times you seemed distant, distracted. I thought you were falling out of love with me, but you were falling out of love with yourself, with who you were pretending to be." The truth of it hung between them. Carol reached across the space, taking Susan's hand. Her manicured nails, a clear polish, nothing flashy, contrasted against Susan's familiar fingers. "I did love you," Carol said. "I still do, in a way. You were my best friend for 12 years. "Were," Susan repeated. "Past tense. We can't go back." "I know." Susan squeezed her hand, then let go. "Tell me about your life now. Are you living as Carol full-time?" "Not yet. Soon, maybe. I'm seeing a therapist, working through the steps. It's a process." "Are you dating?" Carol shook her head. "Too soon for that. I'm still figuring myself out." "Someone will be lucky to have you," Susan said. "When you're ready." They talked until the wine was gone and the food had grown cold. Susan asked practical questions. How did she learn to do makeup? Where did she shop? Was she planning medical transitions? Carol answered honestly, surprised by Susan's genuine curiosity. "I have something for you," Susan said eventually. She went to her suitcase and pulled out a small jewelry box. "I wasn't sure if I'd have the courage to give this to you, but now it feels right." Inside was a silver bracelet with a small charm, a butterfly. "It's beautiful," Carol said. "I bought it last month, when I knew this day was coming. I wanted—" Susan paused, choosing words carefully. "I wanted to give you something to mark the transition. Both of them. The end of our marriage and your new beginning." Carol fastened the bracelet around her wrist. It caught the light, delicate and perfect. "Thank you." "I have a selfish request," Susan said. "Stay in touch? Not often, not in a way that keeps either of us from moving forward, but I'd like to know how you're doing, how Carol's doing." "I'd like that." Susan smiled, the first real smile Carol had seen from her all day. "Good, because I have a feeling she's going to do amazing things." The evening wound down naturally. They'd found the closure they both needed, even if it looked different than either had expected. At the door, Susan hugged her, tentative at first, then fierce. "Be happy," she whispered. "Be yourself. Be free." Carol returned to room 412 with tears threatening her carefully applied mascara. She sat on the bed in her navy dress, looking at the butterfly bracelet on her wrist. Tomorrow she'd take the bus home, back to the life she was still building. But tonight, she'd shared her truth with the one person who deserved to see it. Her phone buzzed. A text from Susan. "Thank you for dinner. P.S. When you meet someone special and decide to get married, I want an invitation. I've always wanted to be a maid of honor." Carol laughed, wiping away the tears. Trust Susan to find humor even in goodbye. She typed back, "Deal, but you're wearing navy blue to match." "Obviously. Good night, Carol." "Good night, Susan." The next morning came too quickly. Carol had fallen asleep in the navy dress, too emotionally drained to change. She showered and reluctantly returned to male presentation for the bus ride home. Jeans, polo shirt, the familiar costume that felt increasingly foreign. At the terminal, buying her ticket, she spotted Susan across the waiting area. Their eyes met. Susan raised her coffee cup in a small salute, then turned back to her newspaper. The gesture said everything: acknowledgement, respect, goodbye. The bus ride home felt different from the journey there, lighter somehow. The manila envelope was gone, filed away with lawyers. In its place, Carol carried the jewelry box and a sense of possibility. Halfway home, she stopped at the same roadside diner. This time, when she caught her reflection in the bathroom mirror, she didn't see a tired man. She saw potential. Brown hair that would grow longer. Features that would soften with time and hormones. A person becoming. Her phone had several messages. Work emails that could wait. A check-in from her therapist. And one from a number she didn't recognize. "Hi, Carol. This is Susan's friend Monica. She gave me your number. I hope that's okay. I run a support group for women like us. Susan thought you might be interested. No pressure, but we meet Thursday evenings at the community, at a local coffee shop. Would love to have you join us when you're ready." Carol read it twice, her heart racing. Women like us. The phrase felt like a key turning in a lock. She typed back, "Thank you, Monica. I'd love to learn more." The bus rolled on through farmland and forest, carrying her toward a future she was only beginning to imagine. She thought about Susan's parting words. Be happy, be yourself, be free. For the first time in years, maybe in her whole life, those felt like promises she could keep. The city skyline appeared as evening fell, lights twinkling like stars. Home, but different now. Everything was different now. Her apartment would be the same furniture, the same view, the same closet with carefully hidden clothes. But Carol would approach it differently. No more hiding, no more shame. She thought about Thursday evening, about walking into a coffee shop as herself, meeting other women who understood the journey. The butterfly bracelet caught the overhead light as she adjusted her bag. Susan had been right about one thing during their final fight. She wasn't the person Susan had married. That person had been a projection, a performance that had exhausted them both. But Carol, Carol was real. Carol was possible. Carol was beginning. The bus pulled into the terminal as the last light faded from the sky. Tomorrow would bring challenges, work to navigate, family to tell, a whole life to reconstruct. But tonight, walking through the terminal in her men's clothes, for what might be one of the last times, she felt the secret knowledge of who she really was, burning bright inside her. Her phone buzzed one more time. Susan again. Forgot to mention, I kept some of your things. The emerald dress and a few others. Thought Carol might want them. I'll ship them this week. The emerald dress. The one that had ended everything and started everything. Carol smiled, typing back, Keep the emerald one. Wear it somewhere beautiful. It was always meant for you. Then I'll wear it to your wedding. Deal? Deal. She pocketed her phone and stepped out into the night air. The city hummed around her, alive with possibility. Somewhere in this maze of lights and lives, Carol's future waited. She just had to be brave enough to claim it. The brown-haired woman in the navy dress with the butterfly bracelet, that's who she really was. Everything else was just logistics. She hailed a cab, gave her address, and settled back for the ride home. Through the window, the city blurred past in streams of light, beautiful and chaotic and full of promise. Just like the life stretching out before her, Carol was going home, for the first time, truly home. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.